replace us. Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. Whose strength? Our strength. Whose strength? Our strength. Whose strength? Our strength. Replace us. You will not replace us. You will not replace us. Now give me now the fascist USA. You will not replace us.
It was just this like belly guttural chanting of what I thought was "You will not replace us," and then I heard and listened more, and it was "Jews will not replace us," and it was just terrifying. So I'm Diane. I live on the lawn, and I moved in the day of August 11th. I found out that the alt-right was coming at around 8 p.m. that night. I didn't think of anything other than the fact that I was moving into these rooms that my role models kind of lived in before. And I was tired from moving. I got like 3 hours of sleep the night before just because I was moving and packing things up. But I went to Professor Sabato's pavilion with some other lawn residents who moved in. So 9 o'clock came and went, and I was tired and exhausted, and I felt like kind of a sitting duck in the basement of this pavilion as I was just waiting for, I didn't know what. I thought it was going to be a couple crazy people, and that's about it. But I didn't really understand the scale of what was about to happen or planned to happen. So I went back to my room, and I was changing to get ready to go to bed, and I locked my door, and I was thinking, you know, it'll come and go, like it'll be just a couple people. I was putting on a t-shirt to go to bed, and I could only describe what it sounded like as an angry mob, and it's just like this sea of flames, like just like this river flowing up the lawn around the rotunda. And I was panicked, like my chest was tight, my head was spinning, my ears were ringing. I felt like I was kind of in this like flight or flight sense, in the sense that like my body was responding before my mind could even process what was going on. And I was just reeling. Like I just didn't know. I couldn't sit down. Like my phone was blowing up with texts. And I just didn't really realize what happened. And I couldn't go to sleep until the sun came up, because I just heard the chants in my ears, and it was really, really hard, in part because I just didn't know the extent of what was happening. I like ripped off my Jewish jewelry and hid this painting that I have, and tried to kind of hide all signifiers of my Jewish identity. And I'm not like the most outwardly looking Jewish person in America, just because we have a different conception of what being Jewish looks like. And my mom is white Jewish from New York, and my dad is Indian, but he's Catholic, so my last name's DaCosta. It's all confusing, but I identify as like a woman of color who's Jewish. And I think afterwards I've felt more Jewish, which is so weird to say, but never in a million years did I think I would be this very strong Jewish advocate who's speaking about being Jewish. Like that was never a part of who I was. The conversation has been primarily around racial relations, like as it should be. There's a deep racial history here and in Charlottesville, but just kind of seeing that Jewish part being forgotten when it's so central to that kind of experience and that night. It's just interesting navigating that space, because I want to elevate all of the concerns, but it's really, really tough when people discount Judaism and discount that blatant anti-Semitic display. Like there was a swastika tattooed to some guy's neck, like that. I know what that means, and I grow up knowing what that means. And it shouldn't be the most prominent thing, and it shouldn't be the only thing, but I do think it's important that people realize that anti-Semitism isn't a thing of the past, and that people have deeply rooted views that are really challenging, and that when we talk about discrimination, prejudice, racism, anti-Semitism very much has a heart at that table. And it's not something that left with World War II. In fact, it's something that walked across our lawn earlier this year. So it's unfortunate to see the Jewish community have to validate the minority experience of, well, this is what it's like when you wear a Jewish sweater to lighting of the lawn. And this is what it's like when people ask you why you're not drinking water on a certain day. Like, it's so interesting trying to navigate that and explain it to people in a way that it doesn't feel like you're constantly trying to prove your Jewishness or trying to prove how it's a valid experience or a valid minority experience. But it's been challenging, and it's really hard to find a silver lining. But that being said, I do think I've been able to see the strength of the Jewish community because of it, feel closer to my own Jewish identity, and feel more compassionate and empathetic to others who maybe also experience tough circumstances.